Welcome to Pitch BrandTalk, where insights meet innovation in the world of brands. I'm Ritika Raj, and today we're exploring the frontier of digital finance with a brand that is transforming how India banks. Airtel Payments Bank is making convenience and security the new standard in financial services, bridging traditional banking with cutting edge digital solutions. Please help me in welcoming Shilpi Kapoor, Chief Marketing Officer at Airtel Payments Bank. Hello, Ms. Kapoor. How are you today?
Hi, Ritika. Thank you so much for such a warm welcome. I'm really happy to be here with you today.
Likewise, I'm thrilled to have this chat with you and on such an auspicious day. We are right in the middle of the festive season. So tell me, what trends are you observing, amongst consumers as the festive season has just begun?
So I think what I'm seeing primarily because I think right now since the last 2 weeks it's all festivities across India. So people are shopping, eating. That's how India is. You come together. So I think there's a sharp increase in the number of digital transactions. I think that has really moved up north. In all possible ways, people are. And I think also as a country, we're moving more towards cashless transactions, right? So people are really concerned about safety. So anywhere that you go, people are mostly scanning QR codes, making digital payments, transferring
Right.
money online. So there's a huge surge in that, and there's a sharp dip in the number of people who are actually doing cash transactions, and we are seeing a similar trend in terms of the number of transactions that are happening per day. Of course, there wouldn't be a number that I can quote right now, but of course, like I said, that there's a really sharp increase in the number of transactions happening on a daily basis as well.
Right, right. So there's a lot of regional diversity across India. I mean, Diwali is also celebrated in various ways throughout the country. So, how do you sort of leverage data-driven insights to create hyperlocal and personalized festive campaigns? And if you could share some examples, that would be great.
Sure. So I like, it's one of my favorite things that I say that if you're marketing in India, you're actually not marketing to one country. You're speaking to almost 19, 20 states which speak different languages, different dialects. Culturally, we're all different. So at the bank, I think we are really very purpose driven in terms of providing absolute inclusion, getting more and more people into the financial landscape, and also ensuring that whatever we do, the consumer is at the heart of it. Now, just to
Right.
give you an example of how we're using regional, insights, while we see that there are these festivals celebrated across the country, and like I mentioned, in terms of digital transactions, we actually did an inciting workshop where we got to know that while there is a huge surge, and the last data was there almost 44% of India is now banking digitally, right? There are very few people who are doing cash transactions. We're moving to cashless. So what we see is there's always that, at the back of your mind, you're always concerned about doing a digital transaction. You don't know whether you're clicking on the right link, scanning the right code, etc. So in that, we obviously ensure that we provide safety and we give an assurance to our customers saying that, when you bank with us, you're absolutely safe. These are the kind of product features that we offer you. And regionally as well, what we see is that, like I just mentioned, that east of India was in the 2 to 3 weeks back was
Yeah.
really entrailed
Hmm.
in the Durga Puja festivities,
Yes,
eating out, shopping, all of that, pandal hopping, to be very
of
specific.
course.
Then again, I think safety is a very huge concern with people. So I think using those insights, we kind of created product suites and we launched this campaign. We're trying to ensure, which is shop and Dil Khol Ke by Airtel Payments Bank, which actually says that you don't have to have any inhibitions when you're doing any shopping, going online, scanning a QR code, because we are assuring you that you will have a safe, payment experience.
Right. You mentioned security and trust is like extremely critical when it comes to digital banking. So, how is Airtel Payments Bank sort of addressing any potential consumer hesitancy around security?
So what we are doing, Ritika, is very important. So all of our product innovations are based on consumer insight to understand what is it that we can solve for. What is
Right.
the concern? What is the problem that my consumer is facing? So like I said, that consumers are very hesitant while they really
Hmm.
want to be always online, doing transactions, scrolling. I think everybody is typically spending 6 to 7 hours only on their phone, right? But
Absolutely.
how are we addressing this is by really offering them products which which are building trust. So we have a safety product suite, which is giving you products which has double authentication. We have a full suite of products which is like a fraud alarm, which is again a very big and of course a very nuanced feature which is very specific to the bank, which
Right.
based on this insight that when we spoke to, and this is a study which we did with Kantar, where almost 75% of the consumers said that while I'm okay doing digital transactions, I'm still very concerned about the safety of that transaction. So
Right.
addressing that, we launched something called a fraud alarm, that if you feel that this transaction, you clicked on a wrong link, or you feel or you fear that this is an incorrect transaction, there is a swipe button on within the app where you just pick that button and it's a fraud alarm. From there and then all your transactions will be monitored. You will immediately get a call back within less than 2 minutes, and all of that will be taken care of by us, right? So that is a
Right.
very reassuring feature. You don't have to
Yes.
struggle with waiting online, calling the call center, because you're, as it is, so overwhelmed because you don't know
Yeah.
what you've clicked on and how much money has left your account. So I think this really addresses that, and it's really packaged in a way that that we say that okay, we understand that everybody's in a rush. So I think that's also getting addressed with, of course, the assurance of the bank backing it.
Right, right. That's actually incredible because it's not just people who are not aware that are being scammed in today's day and age. I mean, people who are very well educated, very well aware also fall, prey to these things. So that's a commendable feature. And also, you've made some exclusive partnerships also with, retail and e-commerce platforms, and that aims to add some unique value to the festive shoppers. But how are these partnerships selected? What is the insight behind that? Any criteria that they should align with in order to be
Sure, absolutely. I
picked?
think that's a brilliant question, Ritika. And I think the basis of any partnership for us is that we should be able to drive value for each other. So any partner that we consider for a partnership, a long-term partnership, is looking at how is it I'm again going to be driving value for my partner, and also at the top of it, how am I going to drive value for my customer. So
Right,
having said that, a typical Airtel Payments Bank consumer is I'm not going to now I'm going to be speaking specifically about the urban user who's doing transactions through our app. What we see is through the festive, people are shopping online. People are doing a lot of QCOM, and very recently we've just tied up with Zomato. Zomato does close to 20 lakh transactions a day, right?
right,
And
yeah,
my audience is a frequent daily transactor. That's my core TG. Somebody who's doing more than 3 to 4 transactions, a day
yeah,
is somebody that I'm speaking to, because I know that person
right,
is always in a rush. Is like just clicking on the phone, booking
yeah,
something, ordering
on
something.
the go.
That's my TG. My core TG is somebody who's a frequent digital transactor. And how is it that I kind of, ensure that that person is feeling safe and confident? And when we have tied up with Zomato and a lot of QCOM, we're also advertising in partnership with a lot of QCOM companies, is that when you are doing these transactions, you have the assurance of Airtel Payments Bank. And in case you don't have an account and we're looking at a prospect consumer, that the next transaction, we definitely say that for a safe daily transaction. That's how we've positioned ourselves, as your safe
Right,
daily transaction account.
right,
So that's the insight, that when you're doing QCOM, you're ordering through Zomato, you know that okay, fine, this is my bank account. I'm rest assured that I'm going to be doing safe banking.
right. And since your TG is the daily consumer, I'm sure daily digital transactioner, if I may say so. So I'm sure a lot of it is also Gen Zs and millennials.
Yeah.
And for them, storytelling, influencer collabs are really something that reaches them. And so how do you as a brand approach influencer collaborations differently? Because there's a lot of brands that's doing that. So how do you sort of stand out?
So I think for me, when we select, and like I said, our audience is primarily on digital and always
Yeah,
connected online, most of the time. For me, it is very important when I'm doing an influencer campaign, speaking to Gen Z, it is important for me first, not just to see what is the following of that influencer, but for me, it is very important that the influencer that we pick, one, resonates with the ethos of the brand.
right,
That influencer needs to have the imagery which matches the imagery of the bank, right? Which is when we're talking about safety, brand trust, you know we carry a lot of integrity in what we do because of course we are a banking platform. So I think for me that's the first thing for selecting. The criteria is of course what we typically have our agencies who will kind of set up meetings and say, okay, we
Right.
want to understand what is it that you've done, and not just the last 4 5 campaigns. I won't just typically go into their Instagram and say, okay, 5 brands, I've this ticks my 5 boxes and okay, come on board. No, for me it is extremely important to really have a brand fitment, right? Because if even if they're not really endorsing my brand, they're speaking about my brand. They're creating
Absolutely.
reels, stories, all of that, which Gen Z is following so closely. So I need to
Yeah.
ensure that that is right. The once I get the fitment right, and then I explain it to them that this is what we are providing. We're providing financial inclusion. We're providing a first, your daily transaction account to our digital customers. This is my full suite. If we see a fitment, then we decide on how do we want to speak to that TG. And then of course, the content is really validated. We want relatable stories. And here I quote an example of what we typically did for Durga Puja, right? So we all understand this is pan India that we did this campaign with influencers. It's
Right.
not just about shopping online. It was a full holistic experience of first, how do you typically have this get ready with me,
Yeah.
which everybody follows. So here you was really actually making a reel or making content which was day in a life of a customer, and using Airtel Payments Bank, right? From the time
Right.
that you start ordering your clothes, mithais, everything online, to how do you get ready, then you hop on to a metro, because we as a brand are very
Yes.
conscious about
Right.
the environment. So there we seamlessly integrated our RuPay and CMC card, which
Yeah.
is
Yeah. Yeah.
the pay
Sure.
card.
Yeah.
So it was almost a slice of life kind of advertising, but the connect was very strong because we all know, the traffic snails, etc. When you're going to all these pujas, shopping, even in
Of
Delhi,
course.
everybody's on the street. So how are you like
Of
telling them,
course.
okay, how do you really, not just be on the streets, you be safe, you also kind of do your bit to conserve the environment by taking, alternate
Right.
modes of transport. So I think for me, it's the full holistic campaign, how it's imagined, and not just picking up an influencer which has got the highest number of followers and just plug them in and to tell them to do a story. That's not the philosophy that we work with.
Right. Right. So, sort of picking the influencer that feel genuine and also resonate with the brand on a deeper level.
Absolutely.
Right.
Absolutely.
Oh.
Yes.
And with cashless transactions on the rise, what would you say are the main drivers of digital payment adoption that you are observing, especially for smaller towns and rural areas? And how are you also leveraging that to reach to that consumer as well? Because you said your core consumer is the urban digital transactioner, but I'm sure you're also looking at the other aspect of things.
Absolutely, absolutely, totally. So I think in the urban space, like I said, we are speaking to the frequent digital transactor. But the payment bank model and why payments bank came into being was primarily to provide financial inclusion to the unbanked and the underserved. Right? They were never,
Right,
they didn't have a bank account. So
right,
for us, that is the core of what we do. Right? So for me, it is very important to connect with a consumer who is in a tier 5, tier 6 city, does not use a smartphone, doesn't have
right.
access to the mainstream banking, but still wants to know, wants to be educated. So
Yeah.
for them, again, our key, positioning or our key thing is around convenience. So through the festive, and like I said, for us it's never just one part of the campaign, it's the full holistic. It's going to be
Yeah.
urban,
Yeah.
it's going to be online, it's going to be on ground. There is going to be a lot of on ground engagement through these all the pandals that we,
Pandals. Yeah.
and even in our shop. So what happens at the
Hmm.
bank is, we have something called a banking correspondent, right? So we have these where up we position ourselves saying that your neighborhood shop is your bank. So these are our 5 lakh plus banking correspondents pan India. What they
Mhm.
do is that they provide this, you can open your account, you can open your account through your Aadhaar, so which is where you use your thumb and you can open your account there. So we've branded these outlets. They're gate arches where again we're talking about Dil Khol Ke, but there the theme is convenience, because we understand that the consumer who's in rural India does not have access to an ATM, does not have
Right.
access to going to a mainstream bank, will not
Right.
be given that kind of dignity. So
Right.
we again don't want them to feel left out. We're saying you as well, have access. Now, if you want to just go and withdraw some amount of your daily wages, at the banking correspondent, you can just go there and not bother that I'm going to lose my day's money because I'll go 20 kilometers, which is
Yes.
my nearest bank. So we're trying to make it festive, for Pan India and serving the needs of various consumers across the value chain, right from somebody who's a daily wager to somebody who's an urban sophisticated customer. So we're covering both ends of the spectrum.
Right. So, if I may ask, how many PIN codes are you available at in this model, the shop, Airtel Payments Bank, the neighborhood
Like I
shop
said,
model?
it's more than 5 lakh banking points. It's not pin code specific. So this is basically created in places where the nearest bank is more than 20 kilometers,
Okay.
right?
Okay. All right.
As per
So,
our, recent statistics, 1 in 5 villages in India is banking with us, right? Because, like I said, and here I would just give you a, example of my very recent market visit, where I met these tea estate, workers working in the tea estate, and
right.
they said that before we had an account with the bank, we did not have an account. We used to
Right.
get cash from on as a part of our daily wages, and then you have a security threat that you're carrying cash. You want to be very safe, and then like how do you carry cash if you want to carry even?
Hmm.
I mean, for them, 1,000 rupees is a huge sum of money.
Of course.
Right.
Yes.
So with this now, with having a bank account, with having your next door neighborhood shop as your banking correspondent, it makes it very seamless. It makes it
Of
really
course.
convenient.
Yes.
And you're
Hmm.
rest assured that any time of the day,
Yeah.
you don't have to bother about banking hours, that it's 9 o'clock or it's 6 o'clock.
Yeah.
You can just go to your next door neighborhood shop and just withdraw your cash or transfer money. Right. That's another
Right.
use case for us, which is transferring money. So
Right.
I think it just encapsulates the whole essence or the emotion behind the payments bank model, which is to really ensure that you're very inclusive in whatever you do.
Yeah. Right. That's actually very interesting. I was not aware actually, so it's really intriguing to me also. So congratulations on that. And the festive season is going on. We talked a lot about your plans, but what happens after the festive season is over? How do you plan to build on the momentum of the festive season, to sort of promote sustained engagement and loyalty for the brand?
So I think, like I said in the beginning, that we're all about ensuring that we are providing safe, simple, rewarding transactions. That this forms the basis or the core of what we do, right? So that's point number one. The second thing is that it's not just a one, for a bank like us, it's not just about one campaign. It's about
Right.
continuously innovating, continuously looking at sustainability,
Right.
also ensuring that whatever we're doing, we are ensuring that we are just not making a product and giving it to my customer. Here, I've packaged something and this is for you.
Right.
We keep inciting, we understand this is what my consumer wants at this point of time. This is where they're feeling threatened, or this is where they feel this is not very convenient. This is not what I feel safe about. How do we really create a product suite which kind of caters to that? So while of course the Dil Khol Ke campaign goes on post Diwali till Bhai Dooj and a week post that as well, but I think over and above that, also we are continuously innovating. We recently at the Global FinTech Festival launched the. So I think what my focus is, like I said, that it's always been around not just creating things or products or services, the suite which is only catering to a certain customer or only a certain theme or just around festive. We're constantly innovating. We are constantly interacting, engaging. We have a very strong consumer inciting team which is in place, which constantly kind of engages with customers to understand what are the challenges in terms of the use cases that we have, or what is the tension that they have. How is it that we can solve for all of this? And to that, like I said, that since innovation is at the heart of what we do, we are looking at a lot of interesting innovations around, like I said, that at the Global FinTech Festival, we just launched the prototype for the Rupee and CMC smartwatch. So we also understand that people always don't want to be glued onto their phone. They want something which is, again, very, when you're on the go or whatever, you really don't want to struggle for your phone, etc. Why don't we create a product which is, and this is in collaboration with Noise, that you just have a tap and pay watch. You can just tap and pay and, kind of get on, hop onto the metro. So there are a lot of innovations. Like I said, that we're all about innovation and sustainability. The cards that we are looking at launching, all of them are a part of the eco-friendly cards, carbon neutral cards, right? So I think as a bank, we are very conscious of what we do. In terms of what we produce for the customer, how do we package our products, how do we communicate, and ensure that we're ensuring that it's absolutely made simple. They trust on the brand, and it's a complete holistic safe banking experience for the customer.
Uh, Coming to my next question, the BFSI sector, particularly, what challenges and trends are you observing that is impacting digital payments in particular, and how are you sort of ready to capitalize and also address any challenges that may come?
See, I think, like I said, everything is moving to digital, right? For
Right,
all banks, for everybody across BFSI, everything is digital.
right,
But in this whole clutter of, while we are getting more and more customers, customers are switching to digital modes of payment, they prefer convenience, etc. But I think the key challenge is that one is, how do you differentiate yourself by not just saying that, because obviously bank, it has to be safe. There's no
right,
bank that is not safe, right? That's the key expectation. But now with so many, so many things happening in this space where customers want a reassurance. So I think from a brand perspective or in the entire BFSI space, it is very important now to not just thrust the product onto the customer, but to really do a lot of more reassuring, conversations. Now here I just again tell you about, the thing that we've just launched at the bank, which is transparent banking. Right now, there
right,
is a section in the Thanks app where you have something called transparent banking. Now, what is transparent banking? Like I said, that the bank is extremely conscious of what we do, what we stand for. So there's a section of transparent banking which has got every single answer to the question that we feel that the customers. It has, your jargons. It has got abbreviations. It has got your FAQs. It has got FAQs in all languages. So just to give you a basic example, a lot of times banks say you have to maintain a minimum balance, right? Now, a lot of us who are evolved customers, we understand minimum balance, but a lot of customers who have opened an account don't understand what does minimum balance mean. Are you talking
right,
about minimum balance by end of the day,
right,
minimum balance for the month, minimum balance for the quarter, or minimum
right.
balance through the year?
Yeah,
What does SOA mean? It's what it means, statement of account. But if you go around and do a dipstick, how many people know this abbreviation? They wouldn't.
yeah,
So the interest rates, what we charge, how we charge, what do we do with your data? Where does your data rest? What are the accesses that you're taking when you open an account with the bank? So
right,
not just that, okay, you come on board and then, I'm completely okay that, okay, I've got a, a banking customer and that's where my responsibility ends. No, as a bank, my responsibility doesn't end. My responsibility is more towards my customer and to ensure that the customer is engaged, feels safe with us as well. Because with so much happening around, data privacy, what happens, what are your annual charges, what are your maintenance charges,
yeah,
how are you going to charge, all of that. And if you go, you can actually go and experience it yourself. If you go into the Thanks app and the transparent banking section, we have a full
right,
section which talks about all of these things. So
right,
which again kind of,
right,
addresses this thing, which is what I said, that not just saying that, okay, this is what you need to do, this is the interest rate, this is what we're giving you, but
right,
answering questions and not leaving the customer in ambiguity and saying, okay, hey, now you've come on board and that's it.
right, right. That's really interesting. If there's anything else that you'd like to add, because you also talked about your product suite and how you have, sort of build it. So that was interesting. If there's anything else that you may like to add, please go on.
I think, like, while I've addressed most of the things, the core, positioning of the bank is to really be a one-stop shop for all your banking needs.
Right,
And here also at the bank, because we're, at the heart of the bank is, the consumer.
Right.
Most of the communication that you see from the bank is really, has that Indian flavor also to it.
Right.
All of that. So we say that, okay, don't worry about it. We understand that you have these Indian quirks about you, but we
Right.
still say that, okay, you don't worry about the checking of the payment. That we'll do for you,
That
right?
will
So
right.
that's just one less thing to bother about. So I think that's how we've kind of positioned, and we made our communication really simple, inclusive again, that it doesn't, it kind of transcends the barrier of language and culture. And like I said, just in the beginning, that when you're advertising or doing communication in India, you're not just speaking to a particular type of audience, which is either Hindi or English speaking. You're speaking
Mm.
to pan India, like,
Of
languages,
course, yes.
cultures, everything. So you have to have an insight which connects with everybody. It's
Right.
not just urban or rural, or somebody who's on the smartphone, or somebody who's going to my banking correspondent, but something which clicks and which really connects with the heart. So for me, brand is not just about what you solve for, but it's how the person feels when you mention the brand name. So brand
Right.
love is what we're trying to achieve right now. And I think we're just trying to solve for a lot of customer, issues, and trying to make banking as safe as possible.
Right. So my key takeaway from this conversation is that the main weapons in your arsenal are transparency and security, and you will make digital payments safe for the consumer while they can worry about the rest of the things in
Yes,
their life. That
absolutely.
was lovely speaking to you today. Thank you
Thank
so
you
much
so
for
much.
taking the time, and a very happy Diwali to you.
Thank you so much, Ritika. It was lovely speaking to you too. I wish you a very happy Diwali.
Thank you.
Thanks a
Thank you
lot.
so much.